right, guys, this is part 2 of the June 1st assignment. So it's about dividing decimals. Again, there's 2 ways to do it. It's going to show you the base 10 method, but also just regular division and then using estimation to place your decimal. I'm also probably going to show you how to do this method, but with knowing for sure where your decimal is. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I said before that the base 10 method with multiplication, at first I was intimidated by it, and then I was like, oh no, I can do this. The base 10 method with division, I was intimidated by it, a little bit confused by it. I did it, it makes sense, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, actually this is really handy. It was more like, okay, you know, I kind of get it, but it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So the method that I'm going to use is this one, because it makes a whole lot more sense to me. That being said, in the answer key, I have shown you how to do the base 10 method. So for this one, it's, first of all, I know that this is going to be divided by 0.6 because it's 6 this way. And I know that my answer is going to be 1, 2.4. However, what I'm trying to figure out is what goes over here. And that's what's confusing here, because this isn't a whole. So I have to count these in. I know that each of these lines is 10. So I have to be like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It's another 60, so it's 120. And this is like 5 by 6, which is 30. So that's 150. So I know that this is 1.5. To me, that's pretty complicated. I want to know how to do it, just in case it makes sense for anybody. That being said, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me. And so use this method if you'd like. If you want to work on it one-on-one, I know it well enough to instruct you in it, but I don't know it well enough and believe in it well enough to really recommend it. So that's why I'm switching to the other method. Okay, so for this, it's using the other method. We're going to do 0.8 divided by 0.5. So I see how many times does 5 go into 8? It goes in there 1 time. I subtract 5, and I get 4. I need to add on another 0 in order to complete this. 5 goes into 40 8 times. Now what I got to figure out is where do I place my decimal? Now using this front-end estimation, it's going to say that you figure out where to put your decimal by sorry, I just realized that I did something wrong in the answer key. I had this awkward pause where I'm sitting here saying mid-sentence and wondering if I did something wrong. So I'm just going to figure out if I did something wrong right here. I did something wrong right here. Oh, I did. That's because I said that 8 minus 5 is 4. It's not. It's 3. The simplest of math has stumped me up. And then 5 goes into 30 6 times. All right. So now I'm figuring out where to put my decimal. Now, if there was no decimal here in the divisor, I would just put my decimal straight up from where it is. It would be 0.16. When there's a decimal in the divisor, basically, I move it over that many times. So I move it over to here, and my answer is 1.6. Using front-end estimation, what I would do is I would say 0, or it would be 0 divided by 0, which is kind of silly. So that's why I'm really recommending doing this method, where it shows you exactly where the decimal should go. So it goes over 1, and then your answer is 1.6. All right, doing the same thing here. So 17.4 divided by 2.4. Now, if I move my decimal over now, I know that my decimal is going to be right here. So then my first question is, how many times does 24 go into 174? Well, I don't really know that just right off the top of my head. And so this is where I'm saying, yeah, you can use a calculator. So you can say 174 divided by 24. The reason that I'm saying don't use the calculator for the whole thing is because you're not really going to get to know the method. I can see from my calculator that it goes in 7 whole times. So then I got to figure out, well, what was 7 times 24? It's 168. So minus 168. Now, the cheater way of doing this, and I say cheater loosely because this is how we're all going to do it in the long term, is we're going to say 17.4 divided by 2.4. Now, this is not a bad method for just trying to get to know the system, to figure out how it works, but it doesn't actually teach us a whole lot about math. And so that's why I'm saying use your calculator, but maybe take the steps here. So we go 174 minus 168. So that would be 6. I borrow this. Now I'm going to add on another 0, move it down. And then I know fairly confidently how many times 24 goes into 60. If you don't, you can use your calculator, but I know that pretty confidently that it's going to go into there 2 times because 3 would be around 75, and so I know that it's only going to go in twice. 2 times 24 is 48. Which gives me a remainder of 12. Bring down the 0. I want to know how many times 24 goes into 120. It actually goes in there 5 times. If I wanted to, I could do the math there. 5 times 24 equals 120. I know that that evens out now. And so my full answer is 7.25. If you're doing this with this sort of math, you're probably going to need more space than it provides here. Okay, continuing on in the same way, doing the same sort of division. All right, here, these are questions that we can do here. So dividing 452 divided by 10. The cool thing about dividing by 10 is that I just moved the decimal over 1. Sorry, it got all blurry. So when I do that and I move the decimal over 1, it's 45.2. When I divide it by 100, I move the decimal over 2 times. So 4.52. When I do it by 1,000, it's basically however many zeros it is, I move the decimal over 3 times. So then it's 0.452. And then it's saying, what patterns do you see? So you're going to do these ones here, knowing that you're moving the decimal over every time you divide it by 10, moving it twice for 100, 3 times for 1,000. Same sort of thing here. Do the question, and then tell me what patterns you see. You're dividing it by a decimal, so your pattern is going to be different than the pattern you're seeing here. Okay, divide and estimate to the decimal point. So 3.9 divided by 6 is about 4 divided by 0. And again, I really hate that estimation because normally, oh, sorry, it should be 3 divided by 0 if you use front-end estimation. But I like my rounding up estimation because 3.9 is really close to 4. 0.6 is pretty close to 1. So I would do this 4 divided by 1 equals 4. The front-end estimation says that we should do 3 divided by 0. I like this better. It gives me a more real answer. And then I do the math. So I actually do 3.9 divided by 0.6. And I figure out how much this is. And then I use this to show me where the decimal goes. So when I'm doing this, 6 goes into 39. What goes in there 6 times? That's minus 36. I get a 3. Bring it down. 6 goes into 35 times. But now I got to figure out where to put the decimal because I have this as my answer. It's 65. And I know that's not the true answer. So if I look at my front-end estimation, I know that 4 is a lot closer to 6 than it is to 65. So it's 4. Case of soup is on sale for $18.63, but there's 27 cans in a case. So basically, I want to do a division question. I want to know what's 1863 divided by 27. All right. Last page. Divide. Now you've seen a few different ways to divide it, so I'm not going to demonstrate it one more time, but you can round it to the nearest tenth if necessary. Again, you can use your calculator. I want you to be able to tell me where the decimal goes. Sheldon rode his bicycle 53.4 kilometers in 3 days. He rode the same distance each day. How far did Sheldon ride in 1 day? So basically, you're going to do a division question. Nadine has a part-time job after school. She earns 91.98 for working 12.6 hours. How much did she earn per hour? And this one says use a calculator to find out, because this is a harder division question, right? Because the division question you would do is 91.98 divided by 12.6. So when we're looking at this and I'm saying how many times does 126 go into 919, I don't know that off the bat. So that's why a calculator would be good. The possible quotients for 70, quotient is, I'm doing a division question, that's that key word. For 72.09 divided by 8 are the following answers. So it's asking you which one number is correct and how would you know. So the way that you would know is you would do first you would do an estimation. So if I was doing an estimation here, I can use that front end estimation. So it's 72 divided by 8. I'd figure out what my answer is, and then I'd figure out which of these ones is that closest to, and then that would give me the answer. The area of a rectangular room is approximately 47.3. The width is 5.4, and you're going to find out what the length is. So you know what the big number is, which means okay, it's a division section. You're obviously doing a division question. So you're taking your big number divided by your smaller number. You can round your answer to the nearest 10. That is the end of the decimal division. I hope that it goes well for you guys. These are harder questions, which again is why I'm allowing a calculator for parts of it. But I do really want you to understand how the decimals work with using the estimation. So if you use the estimation first, you have an idea where to place the decimal. It also gives you a really good idea as to if your answer maybe is right or maybe if it's crazy. Like if I say, you know, what's 4 divided by 2 and your answer is 6,000 something, we need to know, we need to have some methods to know if we're kind of close to the right answer or if we're pretty far away. And so using that estimation is a good way to do it. Wish you the best.